Marcus Aurelius once said, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look." And now, for the first time in a long time, you can feel that source rising, not as a flood, but as a steady stream. Quiet, dependable, unforced. You realize you don't need the world to guarantee your safety. You don't need certainty to move forward. You don't need approval to become who you must be. You simply need to trust that the person you are becoming is strong enough to carry the person you once were. You breathe again, and each breath feels like a pact, a vow to treat yourself with the patience you've always given others. Because the truth is this: you were never weak. You were tired. You were never broken. You were burdened. You were never unworthy. You were simply believing the wrong voices. Now you are learning to speak to yourself differently, not with cruelty, but with clarity, not with judgment, but with understanding, not with fear, but with truth. Your mind becomes less of a battlefield and more of a companion, a place where thoughts come and go, like weather, acknowledged, observed, allowed to pass. This is the inner freedom you've been searching for, not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of mastery. Epictetus taught, "Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish for events to happen as they do happen, and your life will flow well." You take those words and feel them settle inside you, like a key turning quietly in a lock. You realize you have spent years fighting the world, instead of meeting it, fighting the moments, instead of accepting them, fighting yourself, instead of understanding the parts of you that needed compassion, not correction. But not anymore. You walk now with a gentler certainty, a knowing that whatever life brings, you will face it, not with panic, but with presence. You will respond, not with fear, but with choice. You will rise, not with force, but with intention. You feel something in you settle, like a storm finally finding the sea. You know now that strength is not loud, courage is not dramatic, wisdom is not complicated. Strength is showing up, courage is feeling everything and walking forward anyway. Wisdom is knowing when to hold on and when to let go. You have become someone who no longer grieves the past, but learns from it. Someone who no longer fears the future, but prepares for it. Someone who no longer battles the present, but inhabits it fully. You stand in this moment, whole, aware, awake, and the silence around you feels like a blessing instead of a threat. You continue forward, not because the road is easy, but because you finally learned. The difficulty is not a signal to stop. It is a signal to awaken. The air feels lighter now. Your steps feel intentional. Your mind, once clouded by noise and fear, moves with a slow, deliberate clarity. You're no longer rushing through life as if trying to escape something behind you. You're walking towards something within you, a deeper truth, a steadier self, a quieter power. You feel it in your chest. A warmth returning after a long winter, a calm rising where panic once lived, a strength forming in the places where you once felt fragile. This is the quiet revolution happening inside you, the rebirth of a soul that refused to stay buried under the weight of its own shadows. You pass through a memory, a moment where you once felt helpless, but now, when you revisit it, it no longer breaks you, it instructs you. Pain transforms when understood. Fear dissolves when faced. Suffering softens when honored. This is what you're learning. You do not conquer your wounds by ignoring them, but by listening to what they've been trying to say. You are not running anymore. You are listening. You are not drowning anymore. You are breathing. You are not breaking anymore. You are bending, and bending has always been the secret of resilience. You understand now that life will not wait for you to feel ready. Life moves. Life challenges. Life pulls. Life demands. But you are learning to meet life where it stands, with discipline, with presence, with a mind trained to watch the wave. Instead of being swallowed by it, you begin to see the world differently, not as a battlefield, but as a training ground, a place that challenges you so you can discover your inner power. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and you feel the truth of that now. How much of your suffering came from resistance, from fighting reality, from convincing yourself that life was supposed to be gentler than it was. But gentleness would not have shaped you. Gentleness would not have forged this strength. Gentleness would not have awakened the fire inside your ribs. Life challenged you because you needed to meet the version of yourself that could handle those challenges. And you did, quietly, reluctantly, but undeniably. You look back at all the nights you felt alone, at all the mornings you rose, even when you didn't want to, at all the moments your heart was breaking, yet you still showed up. Those moments were the moments that defined you. Not the victories, not the celebrations, not the praise, but the quiet perseverance of a soul refusing to give up. You carry that perseverance with you now, not as a memory, but as an identity. You understand the nature of storms now? They arrive without warning. They break what needs breaking. They reveal what must be seen, and they pass. Always, they pass. And after every storm, you find a clearer version of yourself, standing in the silence that follows. You look at your life, not with regret, but with gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons, gratitude for the growth, gratitude for the wisdom you could not have learned any other way. Epictetus reminds you gently, no great thing is created suddenly, and neither were you. You were shaped slowly, forged painfully, strengthened deliberately. You can feel it in your chest now. The quiet conviction of someone who has nothing left to fear internally, the calm determination of someone who trusts their own mind, the steady courage of someone who knows their own heart. You are not the same person you were. You are deeper now, more intentional, more awake. And awakenings cannot be undone. You lift your gaze toward the path ahead. It doesn't intimidate you anymore, because the path is not the threat. The path is the teacher. Every step you take is a choice to keep becoming, to keep rising, to keep mastering yourself. You walk forward again, not quickly, not slowly, but with purpose. Every breath, a declaration. Every step, a promise. Every thought, a renewal. You have become someone who trusts the process, who trusts the unfolding, who trusts themselves. This is your strength. This is your power. This is your path. You lift your head slightly, not in pride, not in defiance, but in recognition. Recognition of the person you are becoming. Recognition of the battles you've already won. Recognition of the quiet strength growing inside you, like dawn rising behind the mountains of your past. You feel it now. The shift from surviving to living. It happens gently, almost unnoticeably, like winter melting into spring, like breath returning after a long silence. You realize you no longer need permission to move forward. You no longer wait for the world to validate your steps. Your growth is your authority. Your discipline is your compass. Your wisdom is your guide. You understand now. You are allowed to outgrow the person you once were. The fearful one, the hesitant one, the one who didn't believe in their own worth. You are allowed to leave behind the stories that kept you small, the memories that kept you afraid, the habits that kept you stuck. Growth is not betrayal. It is liberation. You breathe deeply again, the kind of breath that reaches places inside you have not touched in years. And with that breath comes a calm acceptance. Not everything in your life was your fault. Not every wound was deserved. Not every silence was weakness. You did the best you could with the tools you had in the moments you didn't understand. But now, you have new tools, new clarity, new strength, and that changes the entire landscape of your life. Into the deeper parts of yourself, the places you once feared, the places you once avoided. But the shadows no longer threaten you. You carry your own light now. You begin to remember that every difficult chapter in your life held something essential, a lesson you were not ready to learn at the time. You see it clearly now. The heartbreak taught you boundaries. The betrayal taught you discernment. The loneliness taught you self-worth. The failure taught you resilience. The chaos taught you calm. Nothing came to destroy you. It all came to shape you. And you let it shape you. Slowly, painfully, beautifully. You begin to sense something emerging inside you. A confidence quiet enough to be mistaken for peace. A peace steady enough to be mistaken for wisdom. This is the version of yourself you spent years searching for. The version that sees life not as a burden, but as a practice. A practice of returning to the present moment, to the breath, to the truth. You are learning that every thought is not a command. Every feeling is not a fate. Every fear is not a prophecy. You can choose. You can direct. You can reshape the world inside you with patience and awareness. and intention. And as you choose differently, you live differently. You speak with more honesty. You move with more discipline. You love with more wisdom. You let go with more grace. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is forced. Nothing is hidden. You have become someone who understands that stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of control. Your mind becomes quieter. Your breath becomes deeper. Your heart becomes steadier. And in that steadiness, you hear something. A voice. Soft, ancient, familiar. The voice of your own soul. Speaking without fear. Speaking without hesitation. Speaking truths you were never ready to hear. Until now, it says, you are not behind. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are becoming. You stop walking. Not because you're unsure, but because the moment demands stillness. There is something sacred about this pause. Something honest. Something rare. You feel the weight of your life, not as a burden, but as a story. A story that is still unfolding. A story that is still in your hands. You realize you are not defined by your darkest days. You are defined by the way you choose to rise from them. And you are rising now. Slowly. Intentionally. Completely. The world has not changed. But you have, and that changes everything. You keep walking, not towards something, not away from anything, but through yourself. And in this quiet movement, you begin to understand the difference between healing and becoming whole. Healing is mending the wound. Wholeness is remembering you are always more than the wound. There is a softness returning to you. Not weakness, but the softness of someone who has nothing left to fear internally. You have faced the storm. You have sat with the thunder in your chest. You have tasted the salt of your own grief. And yet, you remained. This is the kind of peace only the broken ever learn. The peace earned in battle. The peace carved from chaos. The peace found when you stop running and finally meet yourself without turning away. You feel the shift again. Not dramatic, but deep. A subtle unfolding inside your ribs. Like light returning to a long abandoned room. You understand now why the Stoics lived close to silence. Why they trained the mind before they trained the world. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." And strength is exactly what you found. Not the kind that lifts mountains, but the kind that stands quietly when everything inside you begs to fall. You walk deeper into this moment. A moment unhurried, unforced, unmasked. You no longer hide your doubts. You observe them. You no longer wrestle your fear. You breathe with it. You no longer resist your past. You learn from it. This is mastery of the self. Not perfection, but awareness without judgment. You are beginning to understand that the world was never against you. Your mind was simply loud, your wounds unprocessed, your heart unprotected. But now, you are becoming grounded, rooted, steady. Nothing outside you feels smaller. You simply feel taller. You are no longer the person who breaks at the first sign of pressure. You are the person who pauses, breathes, understands, responds. Your strength is not in your armor. It is in your clarity, your willingness to feel, your decision to act with intention rather than impulse. You walk further. How to think, how to breathe, how to move forward. This is freedom, the quiet kind, the kind that cannot be taken from you, the kind that grows. Each time you choose yourself over your fear, so you rise a little taller, you step a little lighter, you look at the world with eyes no longer clouded by despair, but sharpened by understanding. You have walked through darkness, but it has not made you bitter. It has made you profound. You have felt deep pain, but it has not made you numb. It has made you compassionate. You have lost things you thought you needed, but what remains is everything you were meant to find. Your heart, your clarity, your discipline, your inner fire. The world has changed you, yes, but you have changed yourself more. And now, you continue forward, not with fear, but with presence, with purpose, with a quiet strength that echoes through your every step. You walk as someone who has met their deepest shadows and has not turned away. Someone who has tasted despair, but chose growth instead. Someone who has been wounded, but has learned to heal without closing their soul. You walk as someone who knows the truth. It is not what happens that defines you. It is what you choose. After it happens, you choose to rise. This is the birth of inner power, not loud, not dramatic, simply undeniable. You walk forward now, with a softer heart and a sharper mind. A heart that feels deeply, but no longer breaks easily. a mind that sees clearly, but no longer judges harshly. This is Stoic strength, not the suppression of emotion, but the understanding of it, not the rejection of pain, but the mastery of it. Epictetus once said, "Circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself." And what have your circumstances revealed? A resilience that does not fade, a courage that does not negotiate, a will that does not surrender. You know now that the world outside will always carry uncertainty, but the world within can learn to remain steady. You have become the anchor, the witness, the steady flame in a world of shifting winds. And with each breath, you claim yourself more fully, more honestly, more gently. You are not rushing anymore, not running, not escaping. You are present, rooted, aware, and awareness, you've discovered, is the birthplace of transformation. You begin to notice the strength in your spine, the calm in your chest, the clarity in your thoughts. You realize you are no longer surviving this moment, you are shaping it. You are choosing how to respond. You take another breath, deeper this time, fuller, more certain. The kind of breath that says, "I am still here." The kind of breath that only survivors know how to take. The night around you feels different now, less heavy, less suffocating. You are no longer trapped inside your thoughts. You are listening to them, separating truth from fear, reality from imagination, pain from possibility. This is the quiet power you never knew you had. The ability to witness yourself without collapsing. For years, you mistook chaos for identity, wounds for destiny, trauma for truth. But you are beginning to see it now. You were never the storm. You were the sky that held it. And the sky does not break. It expands, so you expand. Slowly, steadily, bravely. You expand into the person you needed when you were younger, when you were hurting, when you didn't know how to ask for help. You expand into someone who no longer apologizes for existing, someone who no longer hides their heart. In the shadows of what others think, there is a freedom here, a quiet one, a steady one, a freedom earned through pain and anchored in wisdom. Seneca knew this feeling when he wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." You have proven yourself, not to the world, but to your own reflection. You survived every moment that tried to convince you you wouldn't. You kept walking, even when the ground beneath you shook with uncertainty. And in that walking, you discovered something timeless. Your endurance is greater than your fear. Your courage is deeper than your doubt. Your heart is wider than your wounds. You understand now. That suffering was not the end of your story. It was the beginning of your becoming. You learned to sit with loneliness until it became solitude. You learned to face uncertainty until it became opportunity. You learned to hold your pain until it revealed its lesson. And slowly, something within you shifted. A quiet rearranging of the soul. The pieces you once thought were broken have formed something stronger, something more intentional, something that knows itself. Your story is not the story of someone defeated. It is the story of someone awakening to the truth. You were always capable, always resilient, always carrying a light you didn't know how to see. But now, you begin to see it. You begin to understand the role of every wound, every silence, every setback. All the moments you thought were breaking you were building a deeper version of you instead. A version that does not fear the dark. A version that walks with intention. A version that reflects before reacting. A version that sees life not as punishment, but as preparation. You rise slowly, deliberately, not to prove anything, not to impress anyone, but because rising is simply what you do now. You have learned the art of standing back up, the discipline of holding your heart steady, the wisdom of letting go when it hurts, but staying when it matters. You understand now what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your obstacles were not walls, they were doors. Doors that led you deeper into yourself. Doors that taught you who you are when everything is stripped away. And who are you now? Someone who can face their own mind without trembling. Someone who can stand in silence without drowning. Someone who can walk through fear without collapsing. Someone who has learned that the greatest victory is mastery of the self. The world cannot take that from you. People cannot take that from you. Circumstance cannot take that from you. This strength is yours, built from your own ashes, shaped by your own hands, carved by your own suffering. And so you breathe again, steadier now, filled with something real, something earned. Not hope, but direction. Not confidence, but clarity. Not perfection, but mastery. Mastery over your mind, over your reactions, over the storm inside you. And in this quiet, you realize something profound. You were not meant to be unbroken. You were meant to be rebuilt, piece by piece, moment by moment, with patience, with courage, with a heart willing to rise twice as high as it fell. You stand now, at the edge of a new beginning, not because life has changed, but because you have. And now, it begins to speak. It tells you that pain is not your enemy. Pain is the sculptor, the great shaper of souls. It chisels away illusions. It carves out deeper vision. It teaches you to breathe. Even when the air is thin, you survive storms you never told anyone about. And that survival became your language, your wisdom, your fire. You learned to walk through days that felt like shadows. You learned to carry on when your heart felt heavy enough to shatter. Do you understand what that makes you? Someone unbreakable in motion. Someone wounded yet rising. Someone stronger than their history. The world will never know the depth of your battles, but you will. And that knowing is a crown. You rise now, not with noise, but with clarity, with a silence that understands itself. The pain taught you, the solitude shaped you, the failures refined you. You are no longer running from your past. You are walking with it, learning from it, transforming it into something alive, something powerful, something that moves with purpose. There is a moment, somewhere between breaking and healing, where you finally see yourself clearly, where you realize you were never the damage, you were the one rebuilding. The world told you strength was the absence of pain. Stoics taught you strength is the mastery of pain, and life has shown you strength is the harmony of both. Breathe again. Slow, deep, intentional. Feel the weight leaving your shoulders. Feel the tension dissolving. Feel the quiet returning like an old friend. You are not lost. You are becoming someone who understands the purpose of storms, someone who knows that peace is not found. It is created, brick by brick, breath by breath, decision by decision. The night is quiet, too quiet for the noise inside your mind. You sit with your thoughts, but they have not learned to sit with you. You feel the weight of unfinished battles, unspoken fears, unhealed wounds. And yet, there is a strange calm here, a stillness at the edge of your breaking. Breathe. You are allowed to arrive slowly. You are allowed to be unfinished. Marcus Aurelius once whispered to himself, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." But you have forgotten that place. It has grown distant, silent, foreign. Tonight, you return. You return to the war inside you, not to fight it, but to finally understand it. Because life does not ask for your perfection. It asks for your presence. Sit with yourself, not the edited version, not the brave mask you show the world, but the trembling truth beneath it. Let the storm speak. Let the fear breathe. Let the pain rise without apology. You are not weak for feeling. You are human for allowing. Seneca wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." Tonight, your courage is simple. You stayed. You didn't run from yourself. Not this time. You inhale the darkness. You exhale something softer, a small surrender, a fragile acceptance. And slowly, the world inside you shifts. You remember the moments life struck hardest, the words you couldn't forget, the losses you never learned to name, the silent nights when hope felt like a stranger passing by. You remember the versions of you who tried, who fell, who tried again, who broke quietly in rooms where no one was watching. You honor them now. They carried you here. Give them your gratitude. Give them your forgiveness. Your mind wanders to the past, not to live there, but to finally let it go. You see the younger you, standing at the edge of their own confusion, asking questions life didn't answer, wondering if strength would ever come. Tell them this: strength was not a distant mountain. It grew inside every scar, every failure, every silent night you thought you wouldn't survive. Nothing was wasted, not a second. Epictetus reminded us, you cannot control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. And you have responded with endurance, with persistence, with a heart that bends but refuses to break. Your suffering has shape. It has memory. It has purpose.